Hello, CIRC members and allies. Welcome to beautiful Glenwood Springs. I'm sorry I can't be with you here today, but I'm with you in spirit. And I want to thank each and every one of you who are here and our tens of thousands and brothers and sisters from across the state for the work that you have done over this past year to help ensure that Colorado's immigrant community is afforded the same rights as everyone else, to help empower those among us who most need empowerment. I can truly say that every immigrant family in the state of Colorado is better off today because of your tireless and sometimes difficult efforts all through the year. And now that the 111th Congress is coming to a close, I call upon you to renew your efforts to help pass comprehensive immigration reform at the national level, something we all know is the only real solution to the crisis, humanitarian crisis, that we see every day unfolding before us. As we know, 2010 has been a difficult and sometimes challenging year. We've had some successes and some setbacks at both the federal and local level. And while there's still obstacles ahead of us that are difficult to overcome, the progress we made gives us a stable foundation to grow upon to help pass comprehensive immigration reform in the near future, in time for the young people and families whose faces and names we know to directly benefit. In the House of Representatives, I'm proud to say that Representative Gutierrez's Comprehensive Immigration Reform Bill has over 100 co-sponsors, a very strong base of support, showing support for this progressive immigration reform bill. In the Senate, Senator Menendez has also introduced an ambitious bill. While it's not perfect, the Senate bill would be a huge step forward for our immigrants who live within our borders today. It's disappointing that it hasn't yet received serious consideration on the floor of the Senate, but once the electoral fog that has taken over our country finally dissipates, we will have a useful tool to advance discussion that is well within the mainstream of American political thought of both parties. The DREAM Act is another source of frustration, but also hope. While Republican obstructionism blocked it from receiving a straight up or down Senate vote, Americans across the country demonstrated their commitment and support to seeing this important piece of legislation pass. We also have a strong ally in the White House. This year, President Obama reaffirmed his commitment and his call to pass comprehensive immigration reform for our country. And while the administration has major room for improvement, especially around detention and enforcement, it did respond forcefully and successfully in preventing Arizona's Senate Bill 1070 and speaking out against state-based anti-immigrant actions. These actions are a new lens with which we must view state and local efforts to regulate immigration policy. While passing the DREAM Act would be a great first step to build momentum for reform, we must continue to press members of Congress on both sides of the aisle to pass a comprehensive solution, not only for the children that qualify under the DREAM Act, but for, in many cases, their parents who contribute so much to the American economy and society. We also need to continue to pressure the administration to reform enforcement and detention so that the emphasis on removing criminals is not just lip service and that families are not needlessly torn apart. Finally, we have to continue to fight at the state and local level to prevent unjust and hateful enforcement of criminal laws, as well as state-level anti-immigrant proposals like Senate Bill 1070 in the many other states that copycat legislation has been introduced. I can assure you that I share your frustrations. Watching the gridlock firsthand, particularly on this critical, important issue, is frustrating. The American people have made it clear that the status quo is unacceptable, and yet there continues to be an enormous divide with a Congress that refuses to take action. I'm committed to doing everything I can, just as all of you are, to make sure that this issue receives the attention it deserves and a solution from within the halls of Congress. We're approaching a critical mass of members of Congress who understand the serious need of the situation and also the need for urgent action. As long as we continue working together, building a groundswell of support for reform and replacing our broken immigration system with one that works for our country, I'm confident that we will pass comprehensive immigration reform. Thank you for your continued efforts.